Hey everybody, Tim here with today's Star Wars review, part 1 of Season 3 of Rebels. I don't know, honestly, I feel like coming off of Season 2, I felt like Season 3 kind of dipped a little bit, but there's some really interesting moments still. We're going to do episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Episode 1, Steps into the Shadow. Basically, it's basically, let's just look at how new we can make the characters. Ezra has a new haircut, and it's all about them rescuing Hondo. Okay, why? So we see, and I mean, oh god, there's so much. We'll kind of get to it. And so Ezra wants to rescue Hondo. He has the Sith holocron, and he's been using it. We see Tarkin, Governor Price makes an appearance. Kanan, who is now blind from the Twilight of the Apprentice episode with Maul blinded him. And he grew a beard because beards equal depression. Okay. We meet the great Bendu, voiced by Tom Baker, which I love how I'm doing Doctor Who reviews at the exact same time I'm doing these reviews. And so to hear Tom Baker's voice is just phenomenal. It's great to hear him. And then Grand Admiral Thrawn makes his appearance. So it's literally just how many new characters can we introduce in the first episode. So, I don't know. The first one kind of was a little bit of a disappointment for me. Episode 2, Holocrons of Fate. It's all about, like, Maul kidnapping the ghost. And him talking to Sabine is great. Where he's like, didn't I once rule your people? Which I think the first time I saw Rebels, I didn't even remember that, to be honest with you, because it had been so long. But now that I'm binging it so quickly, I was like, oh, that's right. Maul was, like, in charge of Mandalore, so that's kind of cool. Kanan's real name is revealed to be Caleb Doom. Why is that a thing? Like, I don't know. I find it weird that they changed his name. Wanting to combine the holocrons and ask any questions. And so Ezra wants to ask, like, how can we defeat the Sith? And Maul wants to, like, find Obi-Wan Kenobi, basically. And it's like that they both get the exact same answer, where it's like, oh, there's twin sons. And, like, Maul can just say, he lives. So I was like, okay, so they're both looking after the same thing. Like, how do we defeat the Empire? And how do we find Obi-Wan Kenobi? So, same thing. So I was like, okay, that's, I guess, kind of interesting. Episode 3, Antilles Extraction. There's a new fulcrum. Ooh, not that exciting. Sabine goes undercover as a cadet, where they even say, like, oh, Ezra did it last time, but he's too recognizable this time, so now Sabine's going to do it. And she meets Wedge Antilles, a character we've known from episode 4 all the way to episode 9. So it's kind of cool to see him again. Kahless helps Satine escape and just says, like, tells Zeb we're even and we're done. Which is a reference to the last season, so that's kind of cool. Hera's Heroes. I don't know, like so many of these, I feel like I'm just like, who cares? But they're all kind of building up. So Hera's Heroes, episode 4, we go to Ryloth. Zeb asking the kid, hey, do you got this outfit? Well, the kid's going to need it. The Kalikori, which is like her species, like memento of passing down the generations and stuff. We find the Y-Wing that Chopper was originally part of. Grand Admiral Thrawn shows up. And then when finally Hera's like, screw it, let's blow up the house. And her dad's like, you really did it. Which at this point, I feel like he's actually been in more episodes of Rebels than he was in Clone Wars. I'm not sure. I'd actually have to count it, but I think he is. And then the last episode, just to cut it off, Last Battle was kind of interesting, where it's like they arrived to this clone army graveyard, basically. But they're still, and the droids are still kind of active. And they've been captured by the Separatists. And it's my favorite moment is when the android's like, Roger, Roger. And Ezra's like, who's Roger? Like, do we have to fight him too? And I was like, that's actually pretty good. Like, I can stand by that. It's great. The important moment of this one where we get through everything, it's basically just war games. And when we get through to the end, the thing that stood out to me the most was who won the Clone Wars? Palpatine. I mean, he was literally on both sides. So it was kind of an interesting, like, you guys didn't win, and you guys didn't win, but it was ended. Like, who won? And I was like, that's kind of a good point. So I really liked that part of it, to just kind of bring up, like, if the droids weren't 15 years old and falling apart, they may have beaten us. But the whole thing of, like, it was literally like one person having both of you fight each other. So nobody really won. The Empire is who won. So I was like, that's actually kind of interesting. So overall, I don't know. It's off to a slow start. It's definitely not as action-packed as like season 2 or as interesting, but I'm still kind of into it. Curious what you guys think. Let me know, and I'll see you guys next time for part 2.